Hi everybody, it's Audra from Dinner Done, and with the storm approaching, we thought it might be a good time to share a couple of tips on how to keep your food safe in case of a power outage. Tip number one, try to keep these doors closed. A full freezer can stay cold up to 48 hours without power. So it's a really good idea before the storm to know the things that you might need to access, maybe label them, have them easily accessible so that you can minimize the amount of time that the doors of your fridge and your freezer are open. Tip number two, fill empty spaces with frozen water bottles, or if you don't have frozen water bottles, you can use plastic containers. We even use sometimes Ziplocs. In our house, we'll just fill Ziplocs with water, fill them in the nooks and crannies, and that gives us ice in our freezer. It packs it tight and it allows that freezer to stay cold for as long as possible. So fill up those empty spaces with water. Don't use glass. Water expands when it freezes, so it's best to use plastic containers that won't break. Tip number three is to monitor the temperature of your freezer. A freezer thermometer is your best friend. If you lose power and your freezer stays below 40 degrees, then the food is likely safe to eat. If you have to evacuate or you don't have a freezer thermometer, a good tip is to fill a plastic cup with water and freeze it. Put a coin on top and keep that in your freezer. When you get your power back on or after the storm, you open the freezer door. If that coin has dropped to the bottom of the cup, then likely your food has thawed and refrozen and it may not be good to eat. So you should consider tossing it. That's tip number three. And a bonus tip is to go ahead and prepare a few things that heat up easily before the storm. Maybe lasagna, maybe some, I don't know, we have enchiladas on the menu right now. Things like that, things that appeal to you, things that are comforting, and have them cooked and ready in the fridge so that you have cooked food that's already cooked to eat. You don't have the stress of having to cook anything during the storm or immediately after the storm. I also like to keep some of my favorite ready-to-cook meals in my freezer. We always have it in our freezer, but especially at times like this, keeps me out of the grocery store, and it allows me to have food, right away after a storm when I need it. So consider keeping some of our ready-to-cook dishes or your favorite ready-to-cook things in your freezer so that you have something after the storm. So those are our tips. Stay safe, and we'll be thinking of you. If you have any questions at all, please email us and we will do our best to respond right away.